Hello and welcome to the inaugural season of the American GT Championship, and we're here today at the opening round, of course, at Spa Francorchamps. This is a new series for Race Department and Touring Pro Series using BMW Z4 Turbo each and every car, and I'm joined today once again by Toby Davis, who joined us in the AGTC, for those viewers who were familiar with that. Hello to you, Toby.
Hello Ryan, welcome everybody. We're here at Spa for the first round, so it should be an interesting race. We've got quite a few people at the front. You can see VR and Barrick are currently setting the pace, about 6/10 apart, but it's difficult to know at this stage what sort of fuel levels they're on.
Indeed it is. There's plenty of strategy here today, plenty of pit stop, plenty of tyre wear, plenty of fuel usage. So, to help us with that, we've got Danny Asbury down in the pit lane.
Hey guys, good to be here. Obviously, as Simon said, with 2X tire and fuel wear, we'll look to see some interesting strategies today, and I'll be on top of it all. Well, I'll try my best anyway.
Yep, it'll be obviously a great help to us. Who get confused when there's just normal racing, never mind with pit stops, Toby, eh?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's quite a lot of strategy going to be. This is definitely going to be the most important thing anyway, with tyre wear being so high. We'll probably see guys losing, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4% of their tyres per lap, so that should be fairly interesting. Also, the fuel tank is 80 litres, and I think it's about 7.5 litres per lap. I think that Danny will be able to keep on top of that. Something like that, 7.5 litres, is it, Danny?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, so guys will be balancing their strategy, and we'll probably see maybe a two-stop strategy today, I guess.
There'll be plenty of strategy throughout the season. That's how the championship has been kind of designed, and we'll also be seeing a night race, which is very rare to see in the race series, of course, which don't support night racing officially, but we'll be at Nürburgring for a night event there, which will be pretty spectacular. Let's listen to these cars as well, which are beautiful beasts to listen to. So Racing Pro have done a great job with these, all new physics, and added a turbo as well. Real challenge to drive, aren't they, Asbury? Danny even.
Yeah, of course. The cars are kind of a balance issue. You'll see guys actually during the pits taking either front tires or rear tires, depending how they drive. You definitely got to get in a rhythm with your driving style to get the most out of them.
You have, and of course it's such a long track as well, so if you just go one lap too long, perhaps on one tyre, you're going to lose a lot of time, aren't you, Toby?
Absolutely. Well, as we saw in ATCC before, it's all about making up time in the pit stops and seeing whether you can get away with those 2 tyres or whether you'll have to replace for 4 tyres every time. That's one of the most crucial things with this championship. So, but yeah, with slightly worn tyres, if you miss your pit, especially with such a long lap at Spa as well, you've got to do 2 minutes, well, 30 almost of an extra lap on the wrong tyres almost.
Yeah, Toby, I'm sorry, Ryan, but
go ahead,
Toby, just to piggyback on what you were saying there, you'll definitely see some guys try the 2 tire strategy later on in the race when fuel wear is definitely a little bit better, as in guys will be light on fuel then. But early in the race, you're going to see guys taking 4 tires all the way around, probably in the first stops.
Absolutely. One thing as well, that Spa is that long pit lane. Of course, you have to be ultra careful coming into the pit, so you don't want to drive through or stop and go at this particular track. Speaking of the drivers, we've got Swiderski and VR near the top of the timesheets. Do you think this the drivers who are used to rear-wheel drive, of course, we've seen them in ATCC, VR of course in BMW, and Swiderski also a race winner in ATCC Season 3. You think they have an advantage in the early stages of AGTC, or do you think everybody will adapt just kind of the same?
Well, I mean, it depends how much practice they've done. I think most of these guys will have done quite a few laps adjusting to the cars, and certainly the guys with rear-wheel drive experience before will probably be better off. Darius has looked very fast, and Villa, as you said, has topped the timesheet so far, but no, most of the guys with pretty good skill will adapt fairly quickly, I should imagine. I think we'll see Villa on pole if he can put a good lap together like he has been. We might see a low 21 in qualifying. That should be about the target time.
Yeah, we are in qualifying now. I'm on board with Swiderski for a hot lap as he comes down the hill into what is my least favourite corner at Spa. Such a long corner. Downhill braking zone as well. It requires such patience. Then you have to get back across the track. You never feel like you've used enough of the corner. And then you've got this flick here, which was also quite tricky. Not going too wide onto the curve as it leads onto a quite long straight down towards Pujon, which is your favourite spot on this track. So of course you've driven this track twice in the Military Masters, which is your favourite part of the track.
Well, 3 times actually. I had the endurance race as well. But yeah, it's got to be Eau Rouge, isn't it? Everyone knows that corner. It's one of the hardest tests in modern day. Really, it's not so much of a challenge in F1 as it used to be. It's easily flat through there, but in these cars it'll be a big challenge. They've probably got to lift off, maybe downshift. I think Keith was shifting to 5th from 6th in his practice session. So it's definitely a big challenge, especially with the way these cars are aerodynamically. They're very front biased aerodynamically, but rear biased mechanically. So the front tyres do go off in the slower corners, and it tends to understeer. But Swiderski running very wide. Yeah,
it's very slippy out there as well, out on the edge of Blanchimont. He comes up behind a slower car. Can't quite see who that is at the moment. It's one of the Terra Australis racing cars at least. Well, that'll be either Isles Wood or Wood. So as Darius comes towards the end of his lap, he's getting a nice tow here from Terra Australis, but I don't know whether he's going to out of the way. He's not going to out of the way because he's on a hot lap of his own. So Darius going down the inside. We are on normal qualifying here, which differs to, of course, AGTC, which was Super Pole. But speaking about the physics of the car, as Nelson sets 23.5, what can Swiderski do? It's also 24, so that's not a great lap there from Swiderski. Look at 21s for pole position. Like we were saying, speaking about the physics of the car, they've been remastered by Michael van Scheppingen of SRP, as Torborg sets the provisional pole position with a 22.3. Go back through. Keith Barrick is about to finish his hot lap. VR's still not going out of the pits. He's obviously quite confident of setting a quick time pretty quickly. What can Barrick do? 22.958, so he's slower than Torborg, who is his FCR teammate, but not driving for FCR in this league. They're driving for Dart, along with Eric Nelson. But speaking about the physics of the cars, they've been remastered by SRP, and they're very, very sensitive to aerodynamic flow, aren't they?
Absolutely, and the other thing that they've done with these cars, they've made them a little bit less susceptible to sort of a springy suspension sort of effect that the cars before had. So they've been modified so that they react to suspension changes a little bit better. So it's definitely improved the mod as a way to drive. The feeling is a lot better. I've had a run out myself, and they do feel pretty good. So yeah, I mean they've done a great job SRP on the mod, and it's going to provide close racing at the front. Looking at Talbot's time, we haven't seen him set a time in qualifying yet. Qualifying trim, I don't believe yet. So he's up there at the moment, along with Barrick. I think Barrick will be disappointed to be in second with a high 20. I don't know what that was, or 22. I think high 22. But yeah, and Seidenstricker at the back on a 35 at the moment.
Yeah, well, with such a long lap here as well, you don't get that many hot laps on this particular track. So you have to do obviously an out lap and a hot lap. And now it's very wide goes Darius Swiderski, and he's lost a second in that middle sector because he hasn't lost a second in the middle sector. Sorry, he has improved on his own time. But nobody's gone purple just yet. They're all going personal best, it seems. But with such a long lap, you really have to set yourself pretty much 5 minutes to even get out and set a lap, because you're not allowed, as opposed to our factory, you're allowed to finish your lap after if you cross a line before the time is finished. Whereas in race, it tends to just cut you off. Let's see what Swiderski's got for the leaderboard. Looks like a better lap for him. Not going to be at the top of the sheets, but 22.7. It is second place. Provisional front row at the moment, but I'm more interested in Francisco Villar, who will possibly be going out in a second, I would guess. Miguel Neto, his Team Racing Portugal teammate, is also out on track. Here's Villar. We'll stick with Neto while Villar starts his hot lap. Neto we saw very ragged, but very quick in ATCC, didn't we? And he was also very quick in the RDTCC, but seemed to improve his consistency quite a lot. So these cars being much more difficult to drive than, of course, a front-wheel drive car. Perhaps we'll see him off track a little bit more, or do you think he's matured over the last couple of seasons?
I don't know. Nato's one of those people who is a little bit erratic, as you say. I think we'll see him challenge. I don't think we'll see him in the. We might see him in the top 5, I guess. He's put together a reasonable lap so far. I've seen him through Blanchimont. Yeah, he's kept it tidier than Swiderski did, who was out on the rubbish on the outside, into the bus stop. It's a slightly changed layout of the bus stop from from a couple of years ago. They sort of extended the left part of that, and was designed to improve overtaking. It's since been changed, but this is a historic layout, as you like. And also the pit lane here for this race is double the length. NATO coming to the end of the lap through La Source.
Yeah, this is the 2004 layout, which has got the traditional kind of direction of the bus stop chain, if not the traditional kind of layout, if you will. Of course, nowadays it goes in the other direction. It goes right left rather than left right, and Miguel Nato goes 22.9. So the times are very, very close. Look at that, just 0.01 slower than Barrick. So the top four, covered by 6/10 of a second, which is very. Oh, top 5 covered by 6/10 of a second. Sorry, top 6 even, if I can get my words out. So the top 6 covered by 6/10 of a second, which is incredibly close.
Look at that, also 4 drivers on point. 4 drivers on 22.9. VR on a quick lap as well at the moment.
He is, and VR's on a purple sector in that first sector. Let's go on board with him.
He was looking very ragged through Eau Rouge. He was all over the curbs on the exit of that corner. I wonder if he stayed within the curves there, but he's certainly on a good lap. And I think we'll probably see him on pole. He'll probably be the first person to go into the 21s.
Yeah, it has been very, very quick in pre-season testing. We saw him, of course, in the BMW be very quick, and he's purple in sector 2 also as well. 1.5 tenths up on Jesper Torborg as the other car in front of him gets out of the way. Which will help him, of course. Out of the bus stop chicane he comes. A little left-right there, which is not a problem at all in these cars. And his car's actually smoking down there. He's obviously got running very, very low radiator settings just for this qualifying run, just about getting away with it towards the end of the lap. Very neat and tidy through, very tight line through La Source. Let's see what sort of time it's going to give him. It's going to be low 22 at the very least, I would say. 21.837. Great lap there from VR. And he will not get another lap in, actually, I don't think, unless he goes straight out again. So that will be his effort.
He doesn't need to. Look, half a second.
Half a second, that is a big, big gap. Barrick is on a personal best.
Oh, look at Keith!
Second place, 21.966. VR does need to go out on track again because Barrick comes flying through Eau Rouge sideways on the exit. That Eau Rouge over the years has been dulled down by the monster aerodynamics of all the cars, but in these cars it really does look spectacular. See what he can do in his second lap. I don't think he'll be able to improve on his second lap because, of course, tyre wear is very high. He's going to get held up by
Taurus Australia's car.
Yeah. Oh, it's sideways, off the track, hitting the barrier extremely hard. Down the hill.
I think Barrick put him off, to be fair.
Give him the old hurry along. Swiderski's also on a personal best first sector, just ahead of this group, I think. Yes, he is, just coming out of Pouon. Down towards the Fagnes chicane. I do love this corner, actually. It's one of the least talked about corners, but I do love it. And I'm down towards the double right at Stavelo. Out comes Swiderski through Blancmont, going to go again. Will be much neater through here than he was before. He's not, he's sideways.
Still out there.
It's hitting the inside curb. But it's much quicker. It's only 3 tenths down. Oh, he's gone straight on. Almost going straight off there at bus stop. I think that's cost him an improvement on his time at least. Only 3 tenths down on VR, so 22.1 if he can hold it together. But I think that's cost him the late braking. Once Swiderski finishes his lap, we'll see what Barrick has got as well on his second hot lap on in this particular run. Barrick very determined to make up for his AGTC disappointment. Out of the final corner comes Swiderski, running over the start finish line. Now 22.5. He does improve, but not enough to improve his position. He improved by 4 tenths, so that's a big improvement for him. Mr. Torborg's on track. Keith has gone back to the pits. He won't set a lap time from here on in. Third place is Jesper Torborg on a hot lap as well. Not on a personal best at the moment, and he's 8 tenths down in sector 2.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
So it's not good enough. He will stay in third position. Let's he picks up some kind of monster final sector. It all look very neat and tidy from VR, so I don't think that's going to happen. Let's go and watch VR on his, what will be his final hot lap. Very narrow into Lecombe there though, passing one of his Team Racing Portugal teammates.
I've noticed there's plenty of people coming in narrow into Lecombe. It must be difficult to trail break these cars, really. I think it's probably one of the reasons. VR doesn't really need to finish this lap. He's got Keith in the pits. Talborg's not going to improve. Swiderski's in the pits. Every time Swiderski did a lap, he ran wide at Blanchimont. Oh, purple from VR. Look at this, 700s up.
He's really showing his strength here, isn't he? We saw him very strong, of course, in BMW in ATCC, so he's obviously carrying that on. As Rhys Gardner is on a personal best as well. He might be able to break up that trio of Portuguese drivers there in 5th, 6th and 7th.
All within a tenth of a second as well, so he only needs to find 2 or 3 tenths, and he'll go to 5th. That's how close it is between the back end of the top 8 there.
Yes, indeed. We'll watch Rhys Gardner actually, if we can. Towards the end of his lap he should be. Going out of Stavelot through into Blanchimont. Now he comes. There's the entrance to Blanchimont. Here is Blanchimont, super fast left-hander. He's very, very neat here. 1.1 seconds down, but he is 0.143 up on his own time, so he's going to be very, very close here whether he gets that 5th position from Miguel Neto. Down towards La Source. What can the Australian do? Qualifying time has run out. Will he even get to the line on time?
Well, Swiderski's improved to 3rd, look.
Again. Improved to 3rd, so that's Talborg down to 4th. 22.2 from Swiderski. That's on his 2nd hot lap on that run as well, so obviously looking after his tyres at the same time, and he wasn't able to...
Oh, did Rhys get that time in?
I'm not sure. Let's look at the timing.
Unlucky if he didn't. He didn't. Oh, he was up as well.
I'm not sure if he improved though. But there you have it, guys. We have the grid for the race. 10 minutes is going through the warm-up. And congratulations to Francisco Villa, the first pole position of the AGTC ever. 2nd place, Keith Barrick. 3rd was Swiderski, and 4th, Jesper Talborg. 3rd row was Nato and Gonçalves. 4th row is Caiado and Rhys Gardner. On the 5th row is Tyler Skurlock and Eric Nelson. So that's an all Dart Racing 5th row. Tyler Skurlock will be coming down for a quick chat as well before the race. Ask him about his prospects for the season. That's Lopez and Paolini. Paolini, the best of the Water Blue Racing drivers. 13th and 14th is Matt Hunt and Domingos Vaz.
Reggie Blaine in 15th with Robert Isles in 16th. Like, the Terrace Australis guys, we saw one of them getting in the way of Keith Barrick. Not quite sure who that was, but there we go. Neil Larson down in 18th and Manuel in 17th. Danny Wood, another Terrace Australis guy, in 19th. Glenn Peterson in 20th for Longshot West. Then Paul Wood in 21st. Eric Estes 22nd. Carver for the other Longshot team. They've got 2 teams, one on the west coast, one on the east. So we've got Dennis Phelan, Jim Egan and Jordan Seidenstricker.
And hello to Tyler Skurlock, who's joined us for a quick chat in warm-up before the race. Well done, Tyler. In the top 10 in qualifying. Did you expect more, or are you quite happy with that?
I expected more, but it's hard to expect more. I didn't get the practice I wanted. I was a little busy this week.
And what are you thinking for this race? You got your strategy sorted out?
Strategy
anything you want to
sorted
share?
out, yeah.
We won't tell anyone.
The tire wear is severe, let's say that.
So he's keeping his cars close to his chest. What are your goals for this season, Tyler? What are you aiming for? We saw you do very well, of course, in ATCC.
Yeah, in ATCC I aimed for a top 5, and I got 6th. I'm still aiming for a top 5, I think. In points, that is.
Top 5 overall, there are 5 races, of course. And which track do you think will be your strongest this season, Tyler? Which track are you looking forward to most, I guess?
Well, Spa, really. Even though I'm not where I wanted to be, it'll still be a fun race.
Okay, Tyler, thanks for joining us, and good luck in the race.
Good luck, Tyler.
Thank you.
So Danny's gone asking the drivers about, he's our pit lane report of course, asking the drivers about the fuel they're going to use in stint 1.
Yeah, Ryan, expect all the drivers to start on 80 liters, full tank, and then the same thing again for the first stop on around lap 8 to 10, probably lap 9 is ideal. Another 80 liters, and then that's when it gets a little dicey going into the final stop, where we'll see any guys take anywhere between 30 liters and 40 liters to finish the race.
Interesting. See, I wonder whether some people might do a short middle stint, Danny. Is that going to be a possibility?
Well, yeah, there's some speculation that you can come in a little earlier in the first stint, or save about roughly 7.5 liters, and then do an extended middle stint, and then come in for very light fuel and perhaps even 2 tires at the end, and perhaps save some time.
No worries, and you'll be keeping on top of all the pit stops, I presume. Do you think anyone who's qualified at the front, do you think they'll go for a full tank, or do you think everyone will go for a full tank at the start? Because certainly from my experience, if you go on lighter fuel at the start, you can perhaps jump a few positions at the start off the line and not in the first lap. So I mean, do you think that could be a tactic?
Yeah, especially on a race, you can definitely get an advantage by going light fuel. The thing is, though, with the only 80 liters in your tank and needing about 200 liters to finish the race, it's going to be very dicey to try to get in the pits and get a good time out of the pits and not lose too many spots. So I expect guys, most of the field anyway, to start with 80 liters.
Okay, well, thank you, Danny. We'll call in when we see guys making a pit stop, or if you've got any news to just give us a shout.
Right, again, we're expecting the first stops to be lap 9, perhaps lap 8, if guys are feeling a little dicey.
Okay,
I will watch out for that.
We'll catch up with you, of course, in the race. Thank you for that information. It helps, of course, the viewers as well. And what do you reckon, Toby? Do you think they'll? We've seen, of course, in this season with the Pirellis being such high tyre wear, and it's kind of the same situation here. But in Formula One, we've seen that drivers have been undercutting each other and then taking a position. Do you think someone will try that? Go pit like a lap earlier?
Potentially, there's some room, as Danny was alluding to. There's some room to play with on the fuel. I think you need about 190 to 200 litres altogether, and you get 80 litres in a tank. So what does that leave you? 40 litres. If you do 2 full stints on 80 litres, you're left with 40 litres. So there is room to play. You can fill up maybe with 70 litres at the start, pit a lap earlier than everyone else, and try the undercut. But the problem with that is that you're back in the traffic. You're back with some slower guys, so you've got to make your way through there. So it only works if you get back into some clean air, and the man who does that is the man who can figure it out best. It's going to be difficult to see that.
With such a long pit lane, of course, though, do you think that they'll go back so far they'll be back behind the traffic?
Potentially. It's one of those things. There are some guys who are 5 or 6 seconds at least off the pace. So Phelan, for example, has done a 29. We'll think lap times will be maybe in the 23s, 24. So saying that, Keith's just proved me wrong.
No, he went off at 2-1. So.
All right. Oh yeah, we did see that. In fact,
we did.
Yeah,
see that,
you're right.
Yeah. And a big slide. These cars do look like slide, don't they? The rear end really looks like you're able to catch it, but if it just look quite kind of flighty car at the rear end.
Yeah, Keith was mentioning this before the modifications. It was like the car got to a certain yaw and you couldn't catch it, but now you can. But unfortunately, that does affect tyre wear and the way you drive it. So yeah, I mean, it's someone like Talborg who can drive right on the limit and no further. We might see him coming a little bit stronger on later in the race, whereas Keith and Via might have the outright pace, but it's making those tyres last is the key thing.
Yeah, we very rarely see smoke tyres or that sort of thing from Talborg. So
yeah, absolutely, that's what I was alluding to. So Keith managed to keep it in the track limits this time round.
Pushing very, very hard on his warm up. People have obviously just thrown the fuel in and just decided that they want to just get a feel for the cars before the race, because they feel very, very different with and without fuel.
Absolutely, but there's only one compound of tyre also, so they're not particularly difficult to get adjusted to with fuel. Not like other cars where we have different compounds of tyres. You've got softs, medium, hards, whatever. Usually, in these it's just one compound. So the tyres really have very similar characteristics. It's just the fuel level and the weight distribution, therefore, that changes. But you can tweak all that in your setup, so it's not too difficult to reacquaint yourselves with it. One thing that they might be practicing last minute is pit stops, getting the pit exit and entry right. You want to lose as little time as you can in the pit lane. You can't really gain time; you can only lose time on perfection, if you know what I mean. So, and Keith is in fact proving my point in doing that.
It's actually quite tricky getting into the pits on this layout, because when you come out of course, the bus stop chicane, you're trying to put the power down as hard as you can, but you still need to be turning to your right almost immediately afterwards to go into the pit, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. But it's actually quite a wide entry anyway, so there's that kind of works for and against you in that particular aspect. But here is our pole sitter, Francisco Villa, and favourite to win the race, I would say. Predictions, Danny and Toby?
Danny
well,
first?
Me personally, I'm sorry, Toby. Go ahead.
I said Danny first.
Oh, okay. I've got to go with Francisco at this point. I just feel that coming off of ATC, how he did well in the real drive cars, the BMW in particular, I think he's just a man to beat for this series, especially after what we saw him doing qualifying.
And Toby?
I have to say Keith Barrett. There was a pre-race test race and he won the race by I think about 12 seconds and was miles ahead of Talborg as well. So I think Keith, if he can keep it all together, and we know he's a little bit erratic sometimes, if he can keep it all together and stay on track, then I think he's got the legs on everyone else. We'll see. I mean, Villa looks very quick over one lap, but he's definitely been pushing the engine very hard. He's been using high revs in perhaps a lower gear than he needs, so we might see an engine failure.
Yeah, we've had actually reports of Francisco not maybe having some trouble later on in the race, perhaps some fuel wear issues, because like Toby said, he's just revving the engine a little too much and it's eating up that gas.
So actual fuel usage, actually throttle, on-off throttle usage is going to be a key part of this as well, which is pleasing, because we never see that in sim racing usually. So that will be quite nice to see. For those of motorsport enthusiasts who follow certain series where fuel usage is absolutely paramount. As you see, Jesper Talborg is an ATCC champion and the RDTC champion as well. He's had a great year so far. And we are into race time. 2 minutes to the race. The guys are lining up on the grid, ready and raring to go. I'm sure they are. What does it feel like in a new series, Toby, when you're on the first race and you come to the grid for the first time?
Oh, incredible! You've done so much work pre-season, testing all the cars and working on your setups, working on your practice for the first round, and you just want to get racing. It's a very exciting feeling being on the grid in a new set of cars for the first time. You never quite know how people have got their starts perfected and so on. And absolutely one of the best feelings actually is sitting there knowing that you can do well in a race. If you're in the top 8, you know you can do well. Especially with such a long race, we've got 60 minutes plus 4 minutes for the pace lap, which will be behind a safety car. So there's plenty of time to make up ground if you make a mistake or if you've made a mistake in qualifying.
Absolutely. Hopefully people won't be diving down each other into the first corner. Especially not into the first corner as such as it is, which is Eau Rouge.
Well, indeed. The grid's moved from normal from La Source. It is more interesting at Eau Rouge. There's slippery tarmac offline as well. So we might see an incident or two. We'll keep our eyes on that.
Well, hopefully not. We'll hopefully see some sensible driving, of course, because it is an hour-long race, as everyone is formed up on the grid. We're not going for a standing start. We are going to have a formation lap, like you were saying, so don't get too excited just yet. Danny Asbury is going to drive them around in the safety car. Where is Danny? There is Danny at the back of the grid.
Phew. He's got to make his way to the front through this pack of cars now.
Yep, just need to make his way to the front and then lead away. He'll lead away at a nice solid pace as he gets going. Gingerly making his way through. Please don't crash into anyone, Danny. He's obviously concentrating. Surprising to go down the grass on the left, but there you go.
Well, he's stuck in the middle now. It's quite
He's
good
stuck
car
in the middle
control.
now,
This is like being down a row of parked cars.
Yeah, it looks quite good when through the grid like that. All the different colours. Team Portugal, FCR, relentless there from the Bonacore cars. The marshal raised the yellow flag, and we get underway with the race. Just check everyone gets away at the back of the grid. Bringing up the rear of the grid is John Seidenstricker. In 26th is Jim Egan. 25th, Dennis Phelan. 24th is Michael Carver, driving for Longshot. Longshot West, I believe. I'll have to get that the right way around, I think. Let's check on the car, see if it says... There we are. The blue are east and the green are the west, so that we'll remember that. 22nd is Paul Wood. Now the Terrorist Rally guys are usually a bit further up the grid in ATCC, so obviously finding the more powerful rear-wheel drive cars a bit more difficult to drive. Ben Peterson, Daniel Wood, Neil Larson as well. A couple of drivers who come across from Race to Play. It's nice they've done so as well, of course. There's Richard Blaine, 16th position for Bonacord Racing. Blue and green as well, as per usual. 15th is Matt Hunt. 14th is Domingos Vaz. 13th is Dino Pellini. He's driving for Water Blue Racing, teammate of Matt Hunt. 12th is Diogo Lopez. Very strong Portuguese contingent here in this series, as there was in the ATCC. They'll get along very well together, enter all the same leagues. Diogo is usually one of the faster guys in that group, but not able to match his other Portuguese teammates, who are way up at the top of the grid. Caiado, Gonçalves, Nato, and of course VR in pole position. The safety car just leads them round still, down towards Fagnes K, and they come. That's a great sight, that, Toby, as they come down the straight towards Fagnes.
Absolutely, it's another good corner. Actually, I should have mentioned it when you asked what my favourite part of the track was. It's that downhill braking zone and hooking up the apex nicely on the inside. If you run wide there, you tend to lose at least half a second. But yeah, it's not a very big overtaking zone. It's just a corner I'd like. Out of Stavolo here onto the sort of the back straight towards Blanchimont. That's a good overtaking spot into the bus stop.
It is. It's often a very difficult braking zone as well. That's why it makes it such a good overtaking zone, but it also makes it a dangerous overtaking zone because it can so easily go wrong. One of my least favourite corners, in fact, it actually is Stavolo, the exit of Stavolo. Very many cars, it just understeers very, very wide onto the grass. You use so much time along the straight up to Blanchimont as well, of course, because of that. Always used to bug me.
Yeah, the curb's angled. If you just hit the curb nicely, it sort of pushes you back into the track and you get a great exit. So that's another good moment for me as they line up towards coming towards the bus stop. See if he gets another of his excellent starts he always used to get in ATCC.
Of course, everyone's in rear-wheel drive nowadays, so as Danny almost goes off at the bus stop chicane there, as he goes into the pits, and now VR will lead them around towards La Source. Full field here. Here is the pole sitter. Second place in the ATCC. Multiple race winner. And we see if he gets out in front, he's very, very hard to beat, isn't he?
Absolutely. He's one of those consistent guys who really bugs you because he runs away with it and you can't catch him.
Mm-hmm. And if you do get closer, he never makes any mistakes and he can't get past.
True.
So here we are
right.
now at the start of the race, onto the start line grid. They come all bunch up at the back there. Oh, there's contact already. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars making contact. VR slowed them down and they get going once again. And coming towards the start-finish line they come. And away they go. VR on the power very early. Keith Barrick has been left behind somewhat. Swiderski is challenging him. In behind is Torborg and NATO. NATO going around the outside. Torborg sideways through the first part of Eau Rouge there. So away they go. VR, Barrick, Swiderski, Torborg, NATO, Caiado, Skurlock, Lopez. Lopez with a great start. From 11th on the grid. Right up there, ahead of his Portuguese teammate Hugo Gonçalves, I think. Yes, there it is. 9th place is Gonçalves. 10th, Vaz. 11th is Nelson. 12th is Reggie Blaine, up from 16th on the grid. Great start there from Reggie. Must have been a bit carnage back of the pack because 14th is Carver, 15th is Larson, 16th is Egan. Off the track.
Who's that?
Who is that? Sinus Strickers off the track, 20th position. He's going to drop right back to the back of the grid now, I think. He's trying to find his way back on. Isles has already left the game, so some carnage already on. Feeling off the track as well. What's going on here? Danny Wood off the track. Matt Hunt with huge damage. There's been a big incident in Eau Rouge. It's what we feared, wasn't it, Toby?
Absolutely. If you get onto that slippery stuff, it just kills you, and that I think is what happened.
Barrick's
in the lead.
Sorry to interrupt there, Toby. Barrick is into the lead. He's taking the lead from Francisco Villar, his great rival from AGTC. Third place is still Swiderski. Fourth place is still Jesper Torborg. There's a small gap back to NATO, Caiado, Skurlock and Lopez. So we didn't see that because of looking at the carnage back in the pack. Obviously quite a lot of carnage because Jim Aiken came from 26th on the grid up to 16th. So there have been lots of cars involved at Eau Rouge. That's what we feared. Well, that slippery tarmac on the outside. But Barrick is now in the lead, Toby. What do you think? Do you think he'll pull away, or do you think VR will be able to just go straight back at him?
VR, stay with him. He's in his slipstream now, and you can see him pulling him in. But VR must have made a mistake on that lap because Barrick was a good distance behind. Barrick gets sideways through Bonchimon there, and VR's definitely going to rein him in once again.
As they make their way through the bush-up chicane, great pictures here as they come out of bush-up chicane as well. Down towards the source is going to go. Barrick was slightly better out of bus-up there. Look at the gap he's pulled away.
Absolutely, but down into La Source there's a braking zone here, and then you're back into the slipstream. So, wow, look at the gain VR makes under braking. There's a bit of a Constantine effect, but definitely gain. Look, you can see Barrick's car is definitely bigger than it was. See the gap at the finish line. I think it'd be about half a second still.
Oh, 1 second.
A bit more.
They've lost 4/10 of a second. It's through that bush-up chicane that they happen as they run very aggressively over the curves there on entry. Go for the best possible line for the first part of it. He gains actually through it from on Keith Barrick through there.
Hey,
down the long straight they come. Go ahead, Danny.
2 cars into the pits, Manuel and Polini, rather.
So they'll be going in with damage, I presume. Do they look damaged?
Oh yeah, they're definitely damaged, these guys. They're going to be in the pits for a while here.
Well, they're still sticking out, of course. It's a long race, and you get points very far down in this race as well. I think top 25 get points, so with 26 drivers in the race, you're guaranteed to score points. Just keep going and you pick up as many points as you can. You still have to complete 75% of the race, of course. Swiderski coming under big pressure here from Jesper Torborg. Torborg, I think, can kind of sense that the guys in front are just pulling away a little bit too much, and he's applying the pressure here. But you know Torborg from your race with him in WTM, Toby. You know how consistent he is, and he doesn't push quite too very aggressively in the early laps, does he?
No, I mean he's a very consistent guy, and one of the classes of the field actually here. Is surprised to see him only down in 4th. Obviously doesn't get along too well with these cars, but he's got some strong teammates at Dart, and he's all over the back of Swiderski right now. See whether he can make a move stick. I think Danny's got some news for us in the pits once again.
Yeah, another car in, Daniel Wood. Looks like he's suffering some damage too. And Polini and Manuel, they are still in the pits, so it looks like heavy damage for those guys.
Yeah, that's big damage for those guys then. Big shame for those guys as well. In the start of this race, VR is 0.7 behind Barrick, gained 0.3 through just the first sector. Second sector just coming up right there. It's still the same gap, so Barrick is still holding off VR there.
Shouldn't be for very long.
Torborg. 5th is NATO. 6th is Tyler Skurlock. He's had a great start to the race, from 9th on the grid to 6th place. Lopez has had a great start. Very impressed by that. He's straight ahead of Caiado and Gonçalves, and also Domingos Vaz. So there's a big Portuguese contingent in the top 10. How many drivers is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 10. 11th is Eric Nelson for Dart. Fastest lap of the race for Keith Barrick. He's pulling away from the challenge of Francisco Villa. Gap is now 1.2 seconds, so he pulled up 2/10 on that lap. Very determined, Keith sounded when I spoke to him. As out of the pits comes Daniel Wood. I presume that's Daniel Wood leaving the pits, Danny?
Yeah, Daniel Wood has just left.
As down the inside comes Jesper Torborg on Swiderski. Will he make the move stick? But Swiderski to go around the outside. He can do that. Atlacoom's done a great defence of his position there from Darius. Jesper again goes great run though through on the exit down towards downhill hairpin. Can he make any move? He can't quite make a move as Darius goes as deep on the brakes as he dares, I think, there. Goes slightly offline, but manages to keep it all pretty tidy. But they're losing time to the front two. Gap is now 2.8 seconds, 3 seconds to Torborg. Swiderski again sideways. We're now onto the straight down towards Puon. I think it's only a matter of time before Torborg takes Swiderski. As you see NATO struggling a little in 5th position. 6th is Skurlock. But Torborg has been a race winner in rear-wheel drive cars before. So it's a little bit surprising to see him back in 4th position. But of course he might just had a bad qualifying, now taking it easy in behind Swiderski.
He's all over the back of Swiderski. We'll probably see him attempt to move perhaps into the bus stop chicane. There's definitely a slipstreaming opportunity here. Look, he's climbing all over the back of him, Ryan.
Absolutely, he's really hungry for that position. I think you can sense that the guy's pulling away ahead of him. Look how close he is, entering into Blanchimont. Perhaps too close, make a move. Well, he gets a great run through there though. Can he get back across the track to try and pass into bus stop? Not going to be close enough.
No, he didn't make a stab. He should have sent one up then. Should have sent one up the inside. It's definitely quicker than Swiderski at this stage.
He is. Just needs the right moment. No need to push it. It's only on lap 4. There are 60 minutes in this race. So there's been plenty of chaos at the start line. Matt Hunt reporting that even before the start-finish line there was contact. So some big damage. So some very disappointed people, of course, as well, who've put a lot of effort into this. At the very first race, out of the race, but that is racing for you as Torborg again gets a great run on through. Oh, that was almost a huge accident there for Torborg, leaping over the curb onto the grey stuff on the outside. Very slippy out there. He was very fortunate not to hit the barrier there, Toby.
Absolutely, it was. I've never seen anyone get quite so close and get away with that one, really. And look at VR on Barrick now, so close.
Absolutely, VR's decided he wants to put pressure on Barrick as well. Hot pace at the front, very hot pace. They're dropping NATO and Skurlock quite quickly. Skurlock perhaps is a little bit faster than NATO, but can't quite find a way past, just like Swiderski and Torborg. But I've never seen anybody, like you say, Toby, get quite so out of shape through Eau Rouge. Get quite so close to the barrier with it and get away with it.
It's just magical holding on to that. Barrick's actually dropped off a little bit. He set a 23.0, I think, was his PB, and also the fastest lap, and yeah, just a 24.0. So he's dropped a second on that lap. So I wonder if the tyres are starting to go off. Remember, Danny said it was about lap 9 probably they're going to pit. So I wonder if people will undercut. There might be a second or two to be gained.
Absolutely, and of course if the gap is as close as it is right now, you can possibly do that. But it depends on the fuel usage as well, whether you're going to gain enough, because of course you have to put more fuel in the pit, so that'll take more time. Swiderski, after Torborg's incident, seems to be a bit more smooth now, keeping the gap a little bit more to Torborg. It's now 0.6 of a second.
Skurlock's not far behind NATO either, for 5th position. It's quite an interesting one. Look, see, Skurlock's in his slipstream now. He won't be able to make a move, I don't think, this time into the bus stop.
No, but NATO runs wide, and that's going to ruin a little bit of his momentum. Skurlock should get closer. A much more classic line there from Skurlock into the bus stop chicane as well. Very aggressive there from NATO. We might see some of the drivers who are taking more classic lines gain a little advantage because they're looking after the tyres a little bit better. Now here is Swiderski and Torborg. Torborg's getting close.
Oh, Swiderski wide.
Makes a mistake, gets it sideways, just about hangs on to that, runs it right out to the railing. Just about held onto it. Barrick back into the 23.3 from Barrick, and he pulls out 0.4 of a second on that lap over Via. So he definitely has the pace, and now Torborg is so close through Eau Rouge. Oh, they're very close. How close is this?
Talbor's close enough now. If he gets in his slipstream, he needs to send one up. I've said it for a couple of laps now. He's definitely getting held up by Swiderski here. He needs to just send one up now. He's not going to do it. Look,
the gap is just getting bigger and bigger to the front. He just not quite close enough in the right areas.
He lost some time through Eau Rouge actually that time. He was a little bit sideways. He could have done with backing off and getting a run on Darius, and he didn't do that. Oh, Darius wide.
Darius went wide, and this will be side by side as they go into the left-hander. No, it's not. Darius sweeps back across and just about covers the line there, but Darius is running wide. It's only a matter of time, I think, before Talbot goes through. Darius has run wide onto the grass there as well. Can Talbot get the inside into Pouon? This would be a great move if he can make it stick. No, he can't. He pulls out of it. Decided better of it. Reggie Blaine, Darius' teammate, had just left the game as well. Not sure what's happened to him. We might be able to get a word with him, hopefully. Any more pit activity there, Danny?
I know, just noted that Reggie Blaine is out of the race, and like you just said, went to the garage for a few seconds there and then just left the game completely.
What happened, Reggie? You just joined us now. What's happened to you?
I got hit at the start of the race, and suspension damage to the back of the car, and just sort of struggling to hold it in the corners, and coming down into a rouge, lost it, and then hit the wall, wrecked it.
Oh, that's a shame, Reggie. We're watching your teammate Darius at the front of the field right now. Hopefully we'll have better luck in the rest of the season. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, Swiderski's wide!
Swiderski wide, onto the grass he goes, and off onto the grey stuff, and through goes Torborg, and that was always coming, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Pressurised him for lap after lap after lap. And it just, we'll see Talbot pull away now. I think he eventually got it done, but it took him long enough. I mean, 3 laps really. I mean, he was right on his tail the whole time, and it was only a mistake from Swiderski that led him through. But yeah, Talborg's making progress now. We might see him catch VR.
VR to Barrick though. Sorry to interrupt, but look at the gap from VR to Barrick. VR's made a big mistake on that lap somewhere, because the gap is up to 2.7 seconds now. From 1.1, so he's lost 1.6 seconds on that lap, and Barrick wasn't even on a fast lap himself. So that is a bit of a turn up for the books.
I did say before the race Barrick might sneak this one. He's looked good.
You did. Stop sounding smug.
I was that wasn't me sounding smug. It was just that Barrick definitely is the class of the field at the moment in the BMW. So it's not exactly a surprise. Danny's got some word for us down in the pits. Danny.
Yeah, it seems like Daniel Wood has gone through the pits. I thought he was in initially to make some more repairs on his damage, but he's gone right through, so I can only suspect it's drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalty for Daniel Wood.
Oh, so it's all gone very, very wrong for Daniel. The big damage, of course, at our race. We saw him coming out of the pits and being lapped by the leaders already. So he lost 2.5 minutes there. He's lost another 40 or 50 seconds through that long pit stop. We were talking about that, weren't we? Saying you don't want to stop and go here because you lose so much time. But Villa's gained 0.3 through that first sector, which is a shorter sector on the track. So perhaps he's just back on it once again. See what his split time is as he comes to Blanchimont. Nato is still holding off Skurlock. We'll join that battle in just a second. In fact, we'll join it now. Torborg's 4.9 seconds behind Barrick. He's gained half a second on Barrick just through that first sector. Nato and Skurlock are in a great battle, but here they are.
Fiaz looked a little bit out of shape the last few laps. These cars are quite difficult to drive on the limit. You'll see Keith, look at them running wide through Blanchimont, but Keith lost a bit of time on this lap. Fiaz got the gap down from 2.7 to 1.6, so the times at the front are all over the place, whereas the tyres wear off. And NATO and Skurlock very out of shape through Blanchimont as well, so if someone pits now, they might get an undercut.
On lap 7, perhaps it's a little bit too early to pit. I think lap 8 is going to be the key, but Barrick has set a very slow lap time that time around, 25.0, and VR has gained back 0.9 of a second on that lap, and Torborg has gained 1.5 seconds, Toby. Just
yeah, I mean,
still setting 23.5s on lap 8, lap 7 even. That's incredible.
25.0 from Keith. Yeah, it's times are just all over the place. It's a bit inconsistent. VR's even closer now. You can see at the end of the straight there on the It might have been the foreshortening of the camera angle, but yeah, he's definitely closing back up his VIA.
Absolutely, that was a slow lap from Barrick. Barrick running wide there as well through. And Torborg is really sniffing an opportunity here, getting 1.5 seconds just on that lap. 23.5 he will have set then. That's on lap 7 when they're coming towards the end of their tyre life, which is a quite phenomenal time there from Torborg. We were saying how well he looks after his tyres, sorry. And still gains a little bit more time through the first sector, and VR gained 0.6 through that first sector. So VR, every time I've seen VR, he's gained time through that first sector, so he seems to have the car very well hooked up through that very fast section.
I think Danny's got some news for us on Keith's tyres down in the pit lane.
Yeah, after his lap times have ran off here for the past few minutes, I took a run down to pit's crew, and they're very concerned about his tires. He complained about losing 4% tire wear each lap on him, so I definitely expect to see him in very soon. And also, Paulini, he also incurred a drive-through penalty.
That's a shame for him also, because he was involved in some of that opening lap skirmish as well. But NATO and Skurlock is desperately trying to get past NATO, but can't quite do it. We see this with Torborg and Swiderski, just not quite in the right area. As VR loses half a second through that middle sector. Once again, so he's gaining through the first sector, then losing it in the middle sector, so perhaps he got a low downforce setup on that. As NATO gets very out of shape coming out of bus stop. We've seen this time and again, haven't we, Toby? He's been very ragged, although he's in the top 5. As into the pits comes Darius. You've got news there, Danny.
Yes, Swiderski is the first of the front runners to pit. It looks like he is alone in doing so, though. And he is going, looks like, I believe, for 80 liters.
So Swiderski is the first of the drivers to blink. He often pits very early in races, actually, and from what I know of him from ATCC. So obviously just carrying on that trend. So let's see how he does once he comes out of the pits. See what the gap is once everyone's cycled through.
I'm trying to figure out where he'll come out. He might be down in sort of 15th place or something. He definitely does not need to come out in a battle now, because he could easily undercut and get back up towards the front of the field.
Anyone news from the pits?
Yes, Reese Gardner and Michael Carver have both come in. Look like to be the first of the midfielders to get into the pits here.
Hugo Gonçalves has dropped out of the race as well, DNF'd, and that's left Domingos Vaz and Diogo Lopez and Andrew Caiado fighting for that 6th position, which is actually a net 7th position. That's a bit of a change around there, because Lopez was leading this group by quite a long way at one point. So perhaps an incident there with Hugo, because they were very close on track.
Potentially. We always seem to miss the interesting moments, don't we?
It seems to have just missed them a little bit at this particular race. Skurlock is ahead now of NATO. Skurlock has finally got past Miguel NATO. So he'll be very, very happy with that, and pulled away immediately from the Portuguese driver. As they come out of Stavolo, we're not missing all the action here, aren't we? Torborg is now, of course, just 3.2 seconds behind Keith Barrick as they come to the next split. Let's see what the next split gives us. Exiting Blanchimont is where it is. 1.1 seconds between VR and Barrick. 2.7 from Torborg to Barrick. The front of the field is very, very tight indeed.
We've got Skurlock with his lights on. Look, they're all coming into the pits. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll see what sort of tyres they put on, and what sort of how many tyres they put on. Have we got Danny down in the pits?
Yep, leaders are in. I expect 4 tires, 80 liters. There are a few guys that could be light on fuel, about 70 liters, like you alluded to earlier, Toby. But more than likely, most of the drivers are on 80 liters. I'm going to fill up for another 80 here.
Sideways through the entrance goes VR. Was it just me, or did VR lose a little bit of ground there to Barrick entering the pits?
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I'm interested to see where Swiderski will come out. I think he'll be right up with these guys.
He's run about 8 seconds behind the leader at one point, so I don't think. Let's have a slow pit stop, of course. VR comes to a stop. Barrick comes to a stop as well, as also has Torborg, Skurlock, NATO, Vaz, Lopez. It's a busy time there in the pits there Danny?
Very busy. And interesting note, Reese Gardner was in the pits for quite a while. I'm not sure if he had some type of suspension trouble on his car or something, but very unusual pit stop by him. But most of the field is in now.
The only person who stayed out is Andre Caiado. So he's rolling the dice. Driving for Team Portugal. Do you think this strategy will work for him, Toby?
Maybe. I don't know how. He could have been looking after his tyres. It's difficult to know at this stage, but another Portuguese driver right up could be up in the mix. We've got plenty of those right now. I wonder if these guys are coming out of the pits just yet.
Well, Neil Larson hasn't pitted either, so there's two drivers there.
Look at Swiderski. Look at Swiderski moving up the order.
As Swiderski comes out of Rouge, and there is Torborg. What's happened to VR? What's happened to VR, Danny?
VR, I do not have an eye on him right now. Is he still in the pits? I can't see him at this moment.
Yeah, he's in the pits, look. He's rolling along the pits. I'm not sure what's happened. Did he not start his car
Blown
again?
his engine. I bet he's blown his engine, Ryan.
Do you reckon he's been sat there so long it's blown his engine?
Yeah, I think what Keith was mentioning earlier, he was studying some of the driving styles. Via was using a lot of revs all the way up to the rev limiter. I reckon Via's done his engine in here, you know.
He's creeping along the pit lane. I'm not quite sure. Oh, he's gone again. Away he goes again. So he's not blown his engine. I wonder what happened there. Could he not get his car started or something?
Yeah, bump starting it down the hill, maybe.
Maybe he's
no idea.
Ignition keys, perhaps.
Very, very strange.
That's very strange. He's down at 15th now. He lost lots and lots and lots of time as he comes out of the pits, and the leaders are in Stavolo. He's lost well over half a lap.
Wow.
That's a big problem there for VR. And my pick for the race, obviously, I've jinxed everyone. Taking over Keith Barrett's role.
So Swiderski is definitely he's about a second off Talborg. He was a lot further back than that.
He's now 4 seconds off Barrick, and he was 8 seconds behind before the pit stop. So looks like undercutting's working. Caiado into the pits, Danny.
Caiado is, and it looks like we're expecting Larson and within the next lap, and I believe that rounds out your order.
Larson keeps going. Larson's keeping going here. No, he's not. He's into the pits.
Larson, I have him in the pits. He's just coming. Yeah. He's coming, right.
Sorry about that. There's one of the driver just up ahead of Barrick. I can't quite see who it is. I thought that was the same driver. But clearly it isn't. Looks like Water Blue Racing driver. It is. And Matt Hunt's out of the race, so it can only be Dino Paolini, who we've seen having troubles in the pits. So Swiderski now tracking the two leaders, which are Talborg and Barrick. VR is completely out of the mix now. Just goes to show the elements that pit stops bring in, Toby. There's so much danger in pit stops.
Absolutely. I'd love to know what happened to VR. It'd be great to have a post-race interview and see what happened to him. But Talborg is definitely closer to Barrick, and Swiderski definitely closer to Talborg. So it looks like a 3-horse race at the moment. There's a big gap to Skurlock and NATO, who, if you remember, were locked in a battle with. I think Skurlock was just ahead coming into the pit. So those two not too far apart either. Vass in 6th place. I think he's made up a spot or two, hasn't he? Of course, Via's dropped down the order. So the pit stops are shaken out. Look, Caiado is in the pit lane. I wonder where he'll come out. Remember, he rolled the dice and went for an extra lap. 2 laps, sorry. Was it 2 laps?
An extra lap over the leaders, but an extra 2 laps over others, yeah.
Yeah. So
Caiado has come out behind his Portuguese racing teammates that he was racing against before. So it's not paid off for him, but perhaps it will at the end of the race.
Yeah, he's going to have fresher tyres the next pit stop. He might be able to do an even shorter final stint. So,
Because an even shorter final stint means even shorter stationary while waiting for fuel. So we'll see how that shakes out. NATO and Skurlock got a big gap between those two now. Of course, Skurlock's up into 4th now. VR's dropped back. Skurlock aiming for a top 5 here. It's coming true. Sorry. NATO and Skurlock are 4 seconds between those two drivers now as well. And they were very close before the pit stop, so Skurlock has won out there at the moment. And here is Swiderski. He's 3 seconds behind the leader now. Torborg 1.7 back from Barrick, and gaining as well because he was 2.2 back crossing the finishing line. So crossing sector 1, sorry. So it's shaping up to be a very nice race indeed. This is really suiting Torborg, it seems, this type of racing, because he's a very smooth driver.
I don't think he was pushing as hard he could have done, or certainly not pushing as hard as Barrick in the first stint. He's picked up his pace a little bit now. I wonder if he senses an opportunity while Barrick's going by some lap cars and a bit unsettled after the pit stop. Talbot's one of those people who thinks his way through a race and doesn't necessarily just drive corner by corner. He thinks about the whole picture. It's one of his assets. See if the FDR car gets in the way.
Oh. That was very, very close indeed.
He nearly touched then. You don't want to touch through Eau Rouge. Such high speed. Those guys were literally inches apart.
Jim Hagan just about getting out of the way of Jesper. Speaking about how Jesper thinks his way through the race, and he ended up almost crashing. But he just about managed to get through. And he's gained
Still
another
gaining.
half second. He gained another half second, didn't he, through that? That last sector. So there's lots of traffic here on track at the moment. Comes up behind one of the long shot racing cars.
That's the white and green. So
that will be John Silenstricker, who is driving an independent long shot, I think.
I believe he's the West, isn't he? Long shot West. Anyway, they've got 3 cars. 3 cars. They've got, each team. One's white, one's green, and one's black as their base colour.
On ball with Torborg, he's lost 0.7 through that first sector. Understandably, a bit of a scare there with Jim Hagan. He managed to negotiate it well, and I think he's gained through this middle sector. Barrick seems to get closer and closer, and Barrick will be just checking his mirrors, just his eyes flicking up at every corner just to see exactly where Torborg is.
Watch the split. Watch the split time come down. 1.9 in sector 2 will maybe come. Sorry, in sector 1. So maybe it'll come down a little bit as they come through Blanchimont.
1.7.
1.7.
Yeah, gains 0.2 of a second. And Barrick is very, very quick through that middle sector as well. So see what Torborg can do through this final sector, which is very short. The middle sector, of course, is very long. Containing Stavelot and Pouon and Fagnes and Blanchimont.
Something else I've noticed. Sorry, Ryan. Something else I've noticed is Swiderski's closing them both in. He was on 3.7, I think, a couple of laps ago. He's now on 2.9. So the top 3 bunching up. So it's definitely a 3-horse race. I thought it'd be a 2-horse after Swiderski pitted that lap earlier. We'll see what point his tyres drop off. 2.5 now.
Definitely gaining. We saw that as soon as Swiderski, his tyres kind of half went, he was very ragged on his tyres, so maybe he's learnt from that and he can be faster and faster as the race goes on. We always see from Swiderski that he gets stronger and stronger in the second race of an event, so perhaps with this being the long race, he'll get stronger and stronger as the race goes on.
Got some news down in the pits, Danny?
Yeah, we have a car just came into the pits. Egan, he was not in too long ago. I'm wondering what's going on with him. Maybe some damage on the car, because it's a little early for any driver to really perform their second stop.
So Egan into the pits. Lopez and Caiado are getting closer and closer together. Lopez qualified quite way back, had a great start, but I think he's finding himself being swallowed up by some of the faster, more consistent drivers, perhaps.
Potentially. He's again, as we alluded to earlier, he's one of those drivers who is perhaps a little bit inconsistent. He's got to watch Caiado here, who's got fresher tyres, remember, by a lap or 2. Mm-hmm. We didn't see quite when Lopez came in the pits, so those two have got to synchronise and remember where they are on track.
Villar's made his way back up to 11th already from 15th. He was. Here is Reece Gardner, who is rounding up the top 10 at the moment, running solidly even. 11th place is Villar. He's got a long way to go before he catches the next position. I'm sure he will keep at it. We'll see him into the top 10, I'm sure, before the end of the race. He needs to keep, of course, just score as many points as he can. He's not going to win the race today. He just needs to score as many points as he can towards the championship. Only 5 races, so every race is absolutely crucial. There is no room for mistake, and he's already made a big one, so absolutely none anymore. Michael Carver is running solidly in 12th position. 13th is Paul Ward, 14th Neil Larson, 15th is Eric Estes. And right up the top 16 is Dennis Phelan. Head back up towards the top 3. There's a bit of battle there between Lopez and Caiado. Off the track has gone John Sidestrick, it looks like. And Caiado's got past Lopez in that little exchange. As back on the top group of drivers, Barrick and Tarbog still 1.5 seconds apart. Vaz in 6th, holding very strong 6th as well from his Portuguese teammates. Nato is the fastest Portuguese driver at the moment, 5th place, with VR dropping back to 11th of course. 4th is Tyler Scullett, 16 seconds behind the leader Keith Barrick. He's got a very comfortable gap between himself and Nato, but very lonely at the moment. 13 seconds off Swiderski, which is making for quite a boring race for him, but he'll be placed in 4th place overall at the moment as he laps Dino Pallini.
Skurlock has his lights on, Ryan. That means he's in part of the pre-race briefing. You could either send a message out to other competitors or leave your headlights on if you were going to pit that lap. So Skurlock is potentially going to pit this lap. I wonder if he's using it as a tactic, but I think he'll be in the pits this lap. It's a bit early to be pitting for your second pit, but remember, as Danny was on about before, you could use 80 litres, 40 litres, then 80 litres, or 80 litres, 80 litres, 40 litres, depending on how you want to run your strategy. So Skurlock obviously thinking this is the best method.
Well, I've noticed I think he's had his lights on ever since just before his first pit stop, so perhaps he didn't turn them off afterwards, because obviously you can never tell that they're actually on. And he's always turned them off now, so he was
playing games.
Perhaps just turn them on for the back markers as well. Let them know I'm coming through. But out of the way. Now Torborg, less than a second between himself and Keith at the front of the field. As he comes out of the bus stop, he's going to gain on Barrick some more. There's more traffic ahead of Barrick. The traffic here today. More traffic than I expected. And that traffic gets out of the way very nicely indeed.
Yeah, beautiful driving from that back marker then. Yeah, good driving, Dennis. Situation. Here we go. This is where Talbot needs to get in Talbot needs to get in Barrick's slipstream out of Eau Rouge now. Talbot's got a bit sideways, but this is the overtaking spot down into Lake Coombe. Talbot's not quite close enough this lap, I don't think.
Talbot's gaining on Barrick, but dropping Swiderski. Swiderski's not losing too much time to Barrick, but not able to gain on Talbot, of course. Talbot is gaining on Keith himself. As the Bonnecord relentless Z4 comes through towards the end of the first sector, they'll come. Talbot getting closer and closer to his FCR teammate in general terms, but not a teammate in this championship. Talbot driving for Darts Racing, Danish-American racing team, and Barrett driving for by himself in Flying Canadian Racing. He was a little bit peeved about that, wasn't he?
Yeah, Dart is basically a branch of FCR, as far as I understand, set up by Jesper, as he is in fact Danish, and the FCR team is Flying Canadian Racing. So I believe Jesper wanted to drive for a team under his own country banner and brought Skurlock along with him. So I think that's the story behind that one. But yeah, I mean, Keith running by himself now in the FCR team, sorry. But they're all under the SRP banner, who's sponsoring this race for us. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big setup they got going on there.
Of course, these two are great friends. They know each other's driving styles very well. How do you see this battle going?
I don't know. I mean, Talbot's bringing him in and sort of steadily keeping that gap nicely at sort of 0.8 second, well, 0.8 now it is, but it's about around a second the last couple of laps, all where Talbot gaining hugely under braking there. Look, he's almost onto the back of Barrick. Danny, any news in the pits?
Yeah, Daniel Wood is in for the third time today. I think this is his scheduled second stop, unlike last time to drive through, so expect we'll see some other cars coming in as we approach the 20-minute mark.
As Barrett goes wide at the final chicane. Thanks for that, Danny. Barrett goes wide at the final chicane. And Torborg's obviously able to gain a little bit through there. 0.6 of a second the gap is now. And Torborg is now doing that. Oh, it's sideways.
Oh, and Keith out sideways.
Oh, that was...
Here comes Torborg.
Here comes Torborg. Barrett goes to the inside. Torborg goes to the outside. Side by side down the straight. Towards Lacombe they come. Squeezing each other down the straight. Can Torborg get past?
Torborg's done it.
Under braking. Superb move there from Jesper. Gets through on Barrett.
Oh, Keith! Keith!
Barrett, oh, that was sideways. Can he hold it? He can hold it. That was so
You can't do that. You can't stick your nose in like that, Keith, my friend. That's never going to work. Torborg had that covered every day of the week, and Keith was lucky to avoid contact then. It was a bit brave. Oh, yeah, I mean, but he panicked. He lost the position. He lost it through Eau Rouge, and he thought, oh, I've got to get it back straight away, and he's made the mistake of going for it as soon as possible. He's lost a little bit of ground, but he's got the pace. He just needs to keep his head, and he can get Torborg back here.
He can. He just needs to stick with it and have a nice clean pit stop. See what happens after the pit stop. There's no hurry just yet. There's another pit stop to come, and plenty of time left in this race. But look at Torborg ready to open up that gap, Toby.
I know, he had the pace all through this stint. Keith needs to come into the pits this lap and try and undercut him like Swiderski did before. That's the only way Keith is going to get back in front of him, looking at Torborg's pace. I think Torborg will cover him now he's got by.
But I think perhaps they're pitted on lap 9, right? Which means that was 7 laps ago. This will make it, so perhaps it's just 1 lap a bit early. So they should pit on lap 18, right? So I would guess if you want to undercut, it would be next lap. This lap will perhaps be just a bit too much.
Don't forget, Danny just mentioned there's only 20 minutes left in this race, and that was about a minute ago, so it's going to be a shorter final stint than we expected. Maybe only 24 laps in this race, so they can make the fuel last if they pit now. We'll see what happens. Keith needs to think about this. Oh, Torborg made it look like he was going into the pits then.
That was sneaky.
It was.
He really just think his way through the races, doesn't he?
I mean, if I was Keith, I would have been almost diving into the pits then. In fact, Jesper's been slightly put off. Look, the gap seems to have come down a little bit.
Off the track goes, I think that's Jim Hagan wants to get out of the way of the leaders. Swiderski's been dropped by the leaders despite the fact that they were battling, and he gained through that, but he's dropped back again in that sector as Barrett makes his way through Eau Rouge, up and over the crest. Looks spectacular from this onboard.
Oh, it's so sideways.
They really are on the edge. This might be a 60-minute race, but they are driving like it's a sprint event.
I'm surprised Swiderski's not been in the pits yet. He's making these tyres last perhaps a little bit too long. News from Danny.
Yeah, Dino Paulini is back in the pits. Again, I think this is his second scheduled stop. Probably taking a low fuel and 4 tires.
Danny once again. Thank you, Danny.
You see, Caiado has now caught Domingos Vaz. So Caiado's making this. Oh no, it's not caught Domingos Vaz. Sorry, that's not Domingos' fault. It's the next car who is Domingos Vaz. But he is making this strategy work very well, isn't he, Toby? Of pitching a lap later than everybody else. Yeah,
I think he's pretty much the fastest man on the track right now, from third downwards. So he's definitely pulling them in. Yeah, he's made it work because he's on fresher tyres.
Absolutely. It's just like 1 lap is making quite a big difference because, of course, it's such a long lap. Any small advantage really extrapolates itself all the way through. And Nato is now fallen into the clutches of Vaz as well. So Nato falling backwards rather than going forwards towards Tyler. We see this during races from Nato. Just can't quite get the consistency. Something perhaps just needs the experience of working on this. Barry is only 0.7 behind Torborg. Just needs to keep that gap. It's not a big gap. It's perhaps a second now as he comes out of Stavolo. But he does not need to panic yet at all. No need for that at all. He seems to have got his driving style back again.
Absolutely, he was so out of shape at Eau Rouge following in front of Torborg. It gave him the look sideways once again. In they come. Danny.
We saw Barrett very quick
is into the pits and he hits the wall. Oh my, a little damage maybe. But after that, we had Reese Gardner the following lap with Schneider, Stricken, and I believe that's it. Now Torborg is in.
Everyone coming into the pits. Skurlock is not coming into the pits.
And we do have Skurlock. He has just entered the pits along with Keith Barrick and Swiderski.
Skurlock has gone to the pits, sorry, you are correct. NATO has not gone to the pits, Vaz has not gone to the pits, Caiado not gone to the pits, Lopez not gone to the pits, so the Portuguese continue deciding they're going to stay out. Of course, Caiado can pit at least a lap after these guys, because he did the same thing earlier. See how
they need to all cover themselves, though. Sorry.
They do need to cover themselves, yeah, it's right. Caiado already on that strategy of going a lap longer, so he can make that work all the way through the race. As NATO takes the first position, of course, now that the top 5 are into top 4 into the pit, sorry. But Domingos Vaz is very, very close in behind. Look at this. Coming down the straight, a great slipstream here. On board with Domingos Vaz, and make a move up the inside of his Portuguese compatriot. No, not quite. Backs out of it in the end. NATO braked as late as he dared there, didn't he, Toby? You can just see he's right on the lock stops.
Absolutely, yeah. It was, NATO's doing a good job, but he doesn't want to be battling now. He wants to be pushing as hard as he can so that he doesn't lose too much time in the pit stops. Oh, he's run wide at the right-hander there. It's Ravage, I think, this corner.
Yeah, Ravage, as they come through the corner with no name. This left-hander down towards Pouon. And Caiado is with the fresher tyres, really put lots of pressure on these two up ahead. And he'll be loving this battling from these two. He knows he has fresher tyres, and this has allowed him to get closer and closer to Mingos. I thought he was going to hit the back of Miguel through there. Out of the pits. Keith is now side by side with Espartol, but out of the pits. He's got a great slipstream down into Lecombes. On the inside is still Torbog, holds the position. Can Torbog keep the position down to Ravage though? Goes defensive to the inside. Barrick around the outside. This is a great battle between these two. And now
contact
there on the entry. Swiderski just back from this group. He's not gaining at all. Barrick and Torbog in now, down towards Pouon. They're going to come. Can Barrick get a good run after there? He can't. Torbog pulls away. Barrick can't use the slipstream to get alongside.
Hey guys, I was just watching that battle. It seemed that the contact that Jesper made with the wall while entering the pits kind of slowed him up. Keith almost got him going out the pits, and that's where that battle kind of started.
Of course, it's a very tricky pit exit, isn't it, Toby? It's a very slippery pit exit. On the inside now is Barrick all over Torbog. Torbog's just missing a few apexes here on this lap, under pressure from Keith. Keith going for the inside. It's a Stavilo. It's such a risky move today. You can't do that. No. Can't do that into there.
He's got to save it. He's got to save it for bus stop. Here we go. Here we go. He's in his slipstream now.
Oh, split sideways through there though. He's lost a bit of the ground, but now he's going to catch back up again in the slipstream. Doesn't be too close to Blanchemont though, does he, Toby?
No, I mean he's got to be right on him out of this corner now, out of this left-hander. Watch.
Oh, he flows through.
Too wide, Keith. Too wide.
What have the men to get up the inside? No chance. Oh, his side wasn't to break as well. Oh, just manages to stop the car into bus stop. As he come out of there, once again, Barrick's pushing so hard. You can see it, almost a gleam in his eyes, in his driving, the way the car is driving, the behaviour of the car, the stance of the car. Into the pits came NATO, Vaz, Lopez, and Nelson. Any word on those, Danny?
Yeah, those guys are all in the pits. I expect just a regular strategy, 4 tires. I'll let you know if anybody gets out extremely early and is perhaps on a 2-tire stop.
The one to look for perhaps would be Caiado, of course, because he's still out on track, still taking the stint longer sideways through Rouge.
Barrick!
Again from Barrick. That's unbelievable.
He's in his slipstream. He's got to do him back again. He'll do what Talbot did to him. Surely he's right up on his bumper.
Here we are now. Barrick is so close. Can he go around the outside of his Danish friend?
He's outbraked himself as Keith.
Oh. He was very out of shape when he breaks there. Oh, he's out of shape once again.
Look how hard he's trying.
Trying so hard through the comes, and that's not going to help his tyres, of course. And now Torbog's got a gap, and Torbog's not looked out of shape at all, despite the fact he's missed a couple of apexes. And he's not hurt his tyres. Perhaps this is the end of Barrick's challenge now. I think it might be.
We'll see. It's making me sweat.
Race is Andre Caiado. He just has to stay there and just make sure that Torbog knows he's there and just put the pressure on. But the gap is 0.6 of a second. I lost half a second through that sector. Caiado will be pitting this time around, I would guess. Danny will let us know if he does. Torbog, of course, in second, but he is a net first overall. Third is Keith Barrick. Fourth is Darius Swiderski. Fifth is Tyler Skurlock, but perhaps we're under a little bit of pressure for that 5th position, I think, from Andre Caiado. Depends how Caiado's pit stop goes. So 54 seconds gap Caiado has. NATO's in 6th. 7th is Vaz. NATO and Vaz are a long way apart after that pit stop, so Not a great pit stop there for Domingos Vaz. 8th is Lopez, has gained right back up to Vaz once again, so Vaz not having a great pit stop. But Barrick and Torborg still at it. Barrick just a little bit further back. Any news from the pits, Danny?
Just Kaido is in. I believe he might try something like a 2-tire stop here. It's in the works if he thinks it can handle the car with light fuel.
I'm sure you'll let us know as well. VR is actually a lap down now, of course, but that's because Kaido has not pitted. He's still in that 11th position because he has Larson to pit also, I would guess. Barrick has got closer back once again to Torborg, but still a slightly comfortable gap. It looks like a long pit stop there for Kayado. Not a 2-tire change, you don't think, Danny?
Yeah, he is definitely on 4-tire stops here. 2 cars have already gone through. He is still in the pits. Definitely 4 tires here, Ryan.
Torborg leads the race. 23.7 that time around. Barrick has a great slipstream here. He's able to use this. Just each time get along the straight and just pull the gap back once again, of course, in the slipstream, and again put pressure on Torborg. Torborg just needs that second gap perhaps just to break the slipstream. Almost
Barrick's
DRS
right on
like
him now,
Toby.
look. Yeah, Barrick's right on him. He's had a great couple of corners through Lake Coombe there, and coming through Rivage now, and the corner with no name down into P1. See whether they can get a run on him here.
I'm not sure why it has no name, but there you go. That's just the way it is. I'd like to look back at Barrick really. There we are. And they come through P1 sideways once again from Barrick. He does like to be sideways. I'm not seeing Torborg sideways hardly at all. Barrick seems to be sideways pretty much every corner he comes to.
Yeah, Talbot's definitely the man who looks after his tyres the best. But I mentioned before the race, we never see any tyre smoke from him. I think that was you that made that comment. It's definitely a truism. Barrick much more out of shape. But then Keith has been just as quick, so it's whether or not they can make their tyres last till the end of the race. 0.3 seconds.
It's been towards the end of the stint, so hasn't it, Toby, where Barrick has lost ground. Always towards the end of the stint, Torborg has kept his lap time, but whereas Barrick has lost his lap time. We saw in stint 1 that once Torborg got past Widerski, he gained hugely on Barrick. And also, obviously, through the end of stint 2, that's when Torborg got past Barrick. So that tyre, looking after those tyres is really helping Torborg.
Indeed it is. Remember, this one's a shorter stint, probably. They pitted on lap 17. We don't think the time will end up anything near what we thought it might, 25 laps. So it might be about 24 laps. Not entirely sure how long's left.
If Danny could let us know how long's left.
We have 11 minutes on the clock, guys. Looks like final round of pit stops. Emmanuel is in, and I believe here 1 second. Let me find him. And actually, I think that is it. Just Manuel is, and Neil Larson. Neil Larson is in. They are the final stoppers.
Yeah, just saw Neil Larson been out of the pits there, so he's finished his pit stop. Barrick sideways through Eau Rouge once again, just that has like that throughout the race. Nato is still in 5th. 6th is Andre Callado. He's got past Domingos Vaz in those pit stops. I think Nato is perhaps on a 2-tire strategy. What do you reckon, Danny? Because he's got a big gap between himself and those drivers who were close to him before. About 10 seconds. Would that seem about right?
It would, but he did not advance any positions. I believe he's still in P5, but yeah, definitely a possibility if he's holding up a 10-second gap.
We saw him launch over the exit curve of Spa of Eau Rouge there. All 4 wheels off the ground. But the Swiderski's been a big loser through the second pit stops, hasn't he, Toby? Because he's dropped from 3 or 4 seconds back to 8 seconds back and losing ground a hand over fist, now 9 seconds back.
I think he might be settling for third. You know, he never quite had the pace to challenge Barrick and Talborg early on. So I suspect that Tedeschi's playing it safe. So it's now a 2-horse race unless something happens.
So a very, very interesting technique there into Fanya's chicane. I noticed it the lap before, but Talborg takes a very wide line into there, whereas Barrick takes a very narrow line into there. Why could that be?
I was mentioning this earlier. It's about trail braking. I think that these cars, the way the differential works, it doesn't let you trail brake so easy. Trail braking basically is turning whilst gradually letting off the brake pedal, so that you're basically smoothing the entrance to a corner. Some people like to brake it.
Off the track,
Sorry.
who was that? That looks like that's Paul Wood. Sorry to interrupt you, Toby. Looks like
Daniel
Wood,
Ryan.
Daniel Wood off the track, so he's still in the race, so that's good. At least he's still in the race. And here he is. Here he is getting going once again. Looks like he's got huge damage. He's not able to make the corner there. Trying to head for the pits. Is he in the right section? He's in the right section. Look at the front of that car. It is mangled. So he's had a big accident through Blanchimont. Looks like he's got a puncture as well. Any news, Danny?
Yeah, Daniel, it looks like a lot of damage on that car. This is about, I want to say, the 4th time he's come into the pits today, so definitely not a good run from him.
Absolutely not. But he's still going as well, so that's obviously helpful for him in the championship.
Yeah, got to get the points. I think he knows that he's racing with his brother, so those guys are usually steady finishers.
They are. Of course, Danny has driven with these guys very, very often. More recently than me, of course. I used to drive with them many years, about a year ago. But Danny now races with them regularly on a regular basis. Knows all of them very well indeed. Dennis Phelan is bringing up, I think it's around about 22nd position. Sorry, 18th position even, so much better than I thought he was running. 17th is Sidonio Manuel. 16th is Dino Pallini. 15th is Eric Estes. Great run from him. 14th is Neil Larson. This is his debut at race department, so he's doing solidly. Paul Wood is 13th. 12th is Michael Carver. 11th is Francisco VR. Just about gradually gaining on Reese Gardner. 9th is Eric Nelson, so VR might get 10th position before the end of the race. Lopez 8th. 7th is Cayado. At the front of the field though, Barrick has overtaken Torborg, so we've missed out ever so slightly. Barrick has just overtaken Torborg in that sector. So in those last 2 or 3 corners, Barrick has decided that this is where he acts. He's showing his strength, and now Torborg is now line astern with each other. On board with Torborg. Look at that.
He's not going to make a move. Surely not into Blanchimont. Surely not.
Just putting the pressure on that thing. Not like Torborg to make that sort of move, I guess.
Almost flat out in top. Oh, Carriff! Barrick!
One way or the other. Oh, it just about held on to it there. That was so close.
Oh, I thought they were going to make contact. Jumping out my seat was.
Well.
Oh. They come into last horse. I wonder if Talbot was close enough this time. 0.2 in the last sector it was.
Yeah, we could definitely see that. We didn't need a timing screen to tell us how close it was. And Barrick goes
Keith Barrick!
Barrick has outbraked himself. Through goes Torborg. Barrick once again making the mistake, and through goes Jesper and says, "Thank you very much. You couldn't make it that easy. I'll take that every day of the week."
Barrick still in the slipstream though. If he held onto it through Rouge, we see him sideways the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
Talbot's this time wide. Keith Barrick's into the barrier. Huge.
No. Huge accident there for Barrick. Can he get going again? Or is that the end of his race?
Rinsed it. He's out. He's out. Keith Barrick.
He destroyed the car. Keith Barrick out of the running. Torborg in the race with a 7-second gap back to Swiderski. Just got out wide onto the marbles. Couldn't hold it. On lap 23, Barrick is out of the race. How many minutes to go, Danny?
We have about 5.5 minutes to go, Ryan.
So we're just 5.5 minutes to go. Barrick is out of the race. That was just 2 or 3 laps before the end. Unbelievable. We saw
him do that in practice, Ryan, you know. Earlier today. He did that once before.
Just pushing a bit too hard. And that was a huge accident. It really was. And we've seen 2 of the 3 front runners have lots and lots of problems. VR and Barrick. VR will now be looking at a 9th position if he can get past. Here is Francisco VR. If he can get past Reese Garner, who's just up ahead of him. But of course, Barrick is now dropping back down the order as everyone passes the pits. But that's a big shame for the series organizer.
Oh, Reese! Reese is in the barrier! VR's in the barrier!
VR's avoided him around the outside of the grass.
Oh my God!
Francisco did the wall of death through there.
Oh, how did they both get away with that?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm not sure quite how Reese Garner survived, but VR right around the outside, running the wall of death around the outside on the grass. VR just about getting away with that.
Oh, Ryan, I was sure VR would end up in the barrier then. It almost looked certain, but he managed to just keep it on the grass away from the barrier. He's got away with murder there. It's incredible action at Eau Rouge. I've had a very similar crash to what Barrick had, and I know how painful that is so close to the end of the race. It's just, Keith, I'd love to hear an interview with him. I bet he's kicking himself.
I don't think he'd like to do the interview, but I don't think that's how VR envisaged taking 9th place on the grass. So 8th position, after all that's calmed down, 8th position is Eric Nelson, still very solid indeed, just picking up positions as people make mistakes. Diego Lopez is 7th, 6th is Domingos Vaz, sideways through Blanchimont, but very strong run from him. 5th is Andre Caiado, 7 seconds back from Miguel Neto, but gaining on every lap it seems, because the gap was 10 seconds at one point, now it's just down to 7 seconds. So Neto is in 4th. On the podium now, of course, is Tyler Skurlock. 2nd position is Swiderski, but Torborg is in the lead of the race with a healthy 8-second gap. And I think we've been joined by Mr. Keith Barrick. We have indeed. Keith, we caught that. And what on earth happened? That looked like a huge accident.
Well, I knew that Jesper had the pace at the end of the stints. I guess he just was a little more comfortable with the tires worn out. But when we came out of the pits, I knew that my only shot to win was to be in front, and I was doing anything I could to get there. And I messed up my gearing coming out of Eau Rouge, and I was losing about 4/10 down that straightaway because I'm using 5th rather than 6th. So the battling happening back and forth. I missed my brake point at the last corner, the hairpin, and I was trying to time it so that I could get through Eau Rouge and carry my speed and get in a draft and get by him again. And I just got into a weird bit of a slide, I overcorrected a little bit, got into the wall, and it straightened me out, but I guess there was a break in the wall, and it just stopped my car dead. And,
yeah.
But
that was a huge accident, it really was. So commiserations there, Keith, because it was looking to be a great battle towards the end of the race.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
did entertain us out. Such close racing with Jesper.
Oh man, he's doing a killer job. His pace picked up huge for this race, and I mean, clean racing with Jesper is basically just a given anytime. And I thought I had him coming out of the pits. I took out some fuel just so I'd be just coming in at about 3 or 4 liters left to the end of the race. And man, I just needed that lead, and I had it, gave it up, and I just took myself out in Eau Rouge. Oh, devastating, but good racing nonetheless.
Of course, Toby knows how that feels, crashing at Eau Rouge.
Ha! WDM.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very similar accident actually. It's just getting onto the curb, getting onto the marbles, getting it sideways, and smacking the barrier and doing a sort of a helicopter spin across the track. I think Keith wrecked his engine this time round. I got away with it just.
Yeah. It was shaping up to be a really good battle to the end with Jesper, because I knew it was going to be clean, and I had my strong points and he had his. But man, it's tough driving these cars for a full 60 minutes without making a mistake. It is just tough. But I'm looking forward to the next race.
How did you get back past Torborg? Because we actually just about missed that. It was in the second sector, perhaps.
What happened was we went. He made a small error. I'm trying to think. Did you catch the first time where it was? I drafted by him. We went side by side for about 3 or 4 corners, and I just
we missed the pass that you made before you went deep at the source before you crashed.
Okay. That pass was a draft pass down the long straight. We went side by side through the next 4 corners, and it didn't end the side by side until Puen, where I was on the outside, and I just got by him, and then gave it away and got a little anxious. But I'll let you guys get back to the booth. Just wanted to come in and say thanks for commentating, guys, and look forward to the next race.
No problem, Keith. We're actually coming towards the end of the race now. So
yeah, and guys, quick note
sorry,
here.
Johnny.
Reese Gardner came in, I believe, a drive-through penalty. Not sure where he would have got that, though.
Perhaps by cutting the track. Perhaps at Eau Rouge, you do occasionally get that. So he's lost.
Right.
So he's definitely lost that position now, especially after almost absolutely wrecking it at Eau Rouge. But he's still in 10th position though, so he's got away with that to some extent. And now we're out of time, Danny.
Yep, I believe we're on the final lap here.
On the out of time, and so Jesper Torborg is going to win the opening round of the inaugural season of the American GT Championship. Around the final corner he comes. The Danish driver has been winning races left, right and centre this year. Been a great year for him, and he crosses the line to win the first race of the season after a great, awesome battle with him and Keith Barrick. VR and Swiderski involved as well. Swiderski will bring it across the line in second position, just 5 seconds back, and third position, rounding out the podium, will be Tyler Skurlock.
Fantastic for Talborg, absolutely fantastic. It's been a great race. Him and Barrick was absolutely the highlight. It was Nip and Tuck who was going to win that one, and it's a shame for him. NATO in fourth. He's done a great job with strategy to come through in fourth place.
Absolutely, it's a shame we were denied the battle really between Torborg and Barrick, but I'm not quite sure what was better, the sharp excitement of a crash or the long drawn out excitement of a battle to the end. But there we are. That's what happened. And fifth is Andrew Criado. It's a great strong run from him on a different strategy to other people as well. It really paid off for him because he picked up several positions. Sixth, Domingo Faf. Seventh, coming across the line with Diogo Lopez. There he is. So we've got a 4, 5, 6 and 7th, all Portuguese driver. 8th is Eric Nelson. 9th, going up to the line now, is Hugo Gonçalves, I believe. No, Francisco Villar, sorry. Hugo Gonçalves crash out of the race. So Francisco Villar, who was our pole setter, finishes in 9th position after his very strange pit stop. Did you ever find out what happened there, Danny?
Yeah, I believe Toby got it right. He didn't start his engine properly and just kind of stalled it.
That was me who got it right anyway, but there you go. I'll take the credit there, thank you.
All right.
I mentioned bump start, Ryan. Let's not go finicky about this.
You were certainly... Well, anyway, your pick for the race...
Gonçalves left the game.
Neither did mine. Yeah, Gonçalves was a DNF a long time ago, so... And the final finisher for the race, the final person not to be lapped, is Reese Gardner. Trying for XSG. He's going to cross the line now. In 10th position he's going to cross, down towards La Source he's going to come. But a great job from all the drivers there. Hopefully we can be joined by a couple for an interview or two before they disappear off. I'd like to hear from VR and Torborg, and Swiderski of course, and Tyler. Maybe we should interview more people before the start of the race. They pick up 2 places as a result. No, 6 places he picked up, Tyler, from 9th to 3rd, so we aren't jinxes at all. As Gardner finishes the race in 10th position, 11th Michael Carver, 12th Paul Wood, 13th Neil Larson on his debut, 14th Dino Polini, 15th Sidonio Manuel, 16th Eric Estet, 17th Dennis Phelan, 18th John Stricker, 19th Jim Egan, 20th Daniel Wood, 21st Keith Barrick is classified, so he will score some points. 22nd Reggie Blaine, 23rd Hugo Gonçalves, 24th was Glenn Peterson, 25th Robert Isles, and rounding out the rounding out the field was Matt Hunt, who retired on the very first lap alongside Robert Isles. Joined now by the race winner Jesper Torborg. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How much did you enjoy that battle with Keith?
Pretty much. A shame he ran into the wall.
We saw you were able to look after your tyres. It seemed better. Did you find you had less tyre wear than other people?
Nah, not really. Just relaxing.
Just relaxing. Okay.
Iceman Jesper as usual. I want to know when you were battling with Keith, did you think you had him covered all the way through?
No, I think he was gonna do an attack with a... One sec. He's probably gonna do an attack the last couple of laps, I think.
Well, very well done to you, Jesper. You've won the opening race of the season. And of course you'll go on strongly from here. We're obviously aiming for a championship tilt this year, so congratulations to you, and congratulations to Darius Swiderski as well. Pretty steady there, Darius, but brought it home in second position.
Yes, good evening, guys. Yes, I did. Yes, very happy with that. No, very happy.
How much do you enjoy driving this car?
I enjoy driving this car very, very much. But I have to say I was so nervous tonight, and I did not go as I should have in my practice. So that's in racing. That's a different story.
Yeah, with the race you brought it home second position. You seem to get very strong in the second stint, but you lost quite a bit of time in the final stint. Was there any reason for that?
Actually, it was. I made the knob mistake. I changed my setup at warm-up quite significantly, and I was very uncomfortable through Eau Rouge. Also, on the first stop, somehow the car felt better. For some reason, I don't know why. And my second stint was my best stint, and my first stints were not so good.
Well, very well done, Darius. You had a battle with Torborg early on as well, and it rose from third to second in the race. And Tyler, maybe we should interview you more. 9th to 3rd.
Yeah, much better result than I expected.
Was it just a case of steady as she goes and just see what you picked up, or did you really attack? Because you picked up many positions in that opening lap.
The first stint, yeah, I saw that I was faster than whoever it was there in front of me, and I tried to get by as hard as I could and try and catch up to the leaders, but they were just too far gone once I got past. And a couple cars fell out, so that helped too.
Well, very well done to you. We'll interview you next time then, if you're going to do things like that, to pick up 6 positions and take the final podium spot. So, very well done to Jesper and Darius and Tyler, of course. Commiserations to Keith, and also Jesper was quite happy in the championship because the people who will see as his 2 main championship rivals will be, of course, VR and Barrick, and they both had problems in this race, so he'll be happy from a selfish point of view, I'm sure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, and well done, Jesper.
Thanks.
So to sum that race up for us, Toby.
Well, as we thought before the race, strategy was all too important. We saw Gallardo make up quite a few positions using a sort of longer first and second stint than what we thought was possible. So congratulations to him for thinking his way through. And we also saw Barrick pressurising Talborg. I didn't expect Talborg to be so far up the field. After qualifying, he looked like he wasn't going to make up those positions, but he had a great second stint and pulled his way back towards the front, towards Barrick, and such a shame that we didn't get that battle all the way to the end, and Barrick really threw it away all by himself.
Yeah, but we like crashes, don't we? We enjoy crashes. Especially huge ones like that, that's awesome.
Absolutely. He'll be kicking it.
Of course, but...
No, he'll be kicking himself after that one.
And how did you see the race going, Danny? Was there any surprises within the pits? There wasn't anything really, was there? Surprising, at least.
A very straightforward race in the pits. You know, guys went 2 stops. We saw Swiderski go in pretty early, well, maybe a lap earlier than most people. Nato actually had the 2 tire stop at the end. It got him a nice gap over those midfield guys. And as Toby said, Kaedo, very nicely done with keeping the tires under him. Obviously, it's unfortunate what happened to Francisco in the pits, but I'm sure he's going to be able to recover next round.
Absolutely. He picked up 9th position overall as a result of Barrick crashing out. So he'll be glad, of course, that Barrick crashed out because he would have lost a lot of ground to those guys. But it's kind of all to play for at Sebring, where we are going in 2 weeks' time. And that will be a wet race also as well in California, which is a little bit unusual. But it will be a wet race on Sebring. And we'll be joined again by Toby. Thanks to you.
No problems, Ryan. Thank you, guys. And yeah, it was a good race. And let's hope for more of the same at Sebring.
And thanks to Danny also as well. Been a great help, of course, in the pits.
You guys are welcome. It's been fun.
And thanks to viewers also as well. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at the same time at Sebring.